There are many success stories of agricultural water development in regions such as Southeast Asia. Is success also possible in sub-Saharan Africa? Mali offers an example of irrigation sector reform that has led to increasing agricultural production. Mali is one of the world's poorest countries. However, the Niger River offers great potential for irrigated agriculture. The Office du Niger, created in 1932, was to capture this potential. Originally developed for cotton, it was later devoted to rice. Despite infrastructure development, farmers lived a poor life as tenant laborers and were barely surviving. The Office du Niger, a state company, monopolized rice production for several decades. It controlled land, canal operations, farm input, rice processing, and markets. There was little incentive for efficiency. Irrigation infrastructure deteriorated. By the early 1980s, 1/3 of the developed area was abandoned. The government not only subsidized the price of rice, but also the irrigation agency. Farmers harvested 1.6 tons per hectare of irrigated paddy from the most fertile land in West Africa.
Les paysans, la seule forme de résistance qu'ils avaient finalement, c'était que n'ayant plus aucun intérêt à produire davantage, donc ils faisaient le minimum pour rester à l'Office du Niger, et ils avaient une stratégie de diversification des cultures dans les hors-casiers d'abord, puis dans des champs un peu plus éloignés. Et donc, ça a continué jusqu'à ce que la pression internationale à travers les bailleurs de fonds comme la Banque mondiale, etc., amène le régime à changer complètement de politique. Donc, à libéraliser le commerce du riz et donc à appliquer des politiques d'ajustement structurel. On a parlé de vérité des prix, par exemple.
By the late 1970s, it had become clear that the Office du Niger model was not working. The government undertook progressive reforms, assisted by donors such as the Netherlands, France, and the World Bank. 3 root causes for poor performance were identified. First was the lack of production incentives. To address this with a gradual approach, the government used donor-supported projects to test a set of reform measures in addition to investing in irrigation infrastructure. The measures dealt with land reform to grant farmers inheritable user rights on land as long as they pay water fees and did extensive farming. Tax reform and market liberalization in 1986 to stabilize domestic rice production, as well as development of the private sector to allow small businesses in milling, mobile hulling, and threshing. This lowered processing costs for farmers and broke the government monopoly. These measures helped change the rules of the game in governing the irrigation sector. The second root cause was the deterioration of irrigation infrastructure. To address this, the government invested in improving and modernizing irrigation infrastructure with technical innovations. It created a fund earmarked for maintenance, requiring that 50% of the collected water fees be used for maintenance. Agriculture extension and transplanting was also provided. The third root cause was the inefficiency and lack of accountability. To address this, the government restructured the Office du Niger. It formed a 3-member committee that included the government, the farmer, and the Office du Niger. The committee signs a performance contract every 3 years. These contracts define the responsibility of each member and determine irrigation fees and how they are used.
Kabola kana se ave usikilima ke fanga do ko kana fanga de zanashi kana bo odlalila ka fanga do fanga famba chama mine ko di chikela ruma ku dado ofiyera ko ngo mana ku dado anyebolla ku usendo akobela
This arrangement has increased accountability and empowered farmers. By doing so, the government changed the role of the irrigation agency to that of a partnership with organized farmer groups. It restructured the core functions of the Office du Niger, outsourced maintenance to the private sector, and downsized the agency by over 85%. These reforms led to a sharp increase in yields, cropping intensities, and farmer income. From 1983 to 2002, yields quadrupled from the 1.6 tons per hectare to 5 or 6 tons per hectare. These results are comparable to rice farmers in Southeast Asia. Between 1989 and 1998, net real income per household increased by 6 times. By the late 1990s, most farmers were able to feed their families all year long. They sold their farm produce to send their children to school and to buy clothes, medicine, motorbikes, radios, and other goods. The reform also created openings for women to farm and trade, and for households to shift from subsistence cultivation to cash crops and commercial services. The area has become a pole for migration as population tripled. These gains in turn strengthen the institutional reform itself. The Office du Niger has achieved full cost recovery of irrigation services through water fee collection, which is around 97%. A new partnership was established between the government, the Office du Niger, and the empowered farmer organizations. Benefits of the irrigation reform were not just felt within the area, but have impacted the whole country. Office du Niger became an engine of growth for Mali's economy. Mali's irrigation reform has been a comprehensive package comprising 4 stages. 1. Building consensus. 2. Initiating small reform steps to shift power balance. 3. Implementing a comprehensive reform package. And 4. Working to sustain reform success and addressing new issues. It offers inspiration for others in the region. The main challenge now is to sustain its success.
Bon, le transfert de compétences en soi est une très bonne chose. Il a été demandé et salué par les producteurs. Les États généraux du monde rural en 92, l'objectif c'était justement d'aller vers ce transfert de compétences. Mais je pense que d'un autre côté, le désengagement de l'État s'est fait de façon trop brutale.
Alors aujourd'hui, on parle effectivement de leur donner plus de responsabilités, mais on leur donne des charges qu'ils ne peuvent pas prendre, qu'ils peuvent pas. Ils sont face à une ouverture trop large et trop grande, trop rapide. Et ce sont des acteurs qui ne sont pas préparés à des batailles comme ça.
Declining performance has been observed in canal maintenance. Financial transparency of irrigation management needs to be improved. Water use efficiency should be increased. Land tenure for farmers should be legalized. Finally, there should be more grassroots level participation by farmers. Mali's experience shows that reform is a continuous process of adaptation to a changing environment.